morning, Ottawa. I'm Ivy, and this is your daily news bite for Monday, November 10th, 2025. Your quick, lively mix of local headlines, national updates, and the latest on AI and the climate. First, a quick check outside. Today sits around -3 degrees Celsius with snow. It's a classic November day. Bundle up, take it slow on the roads, and keep the kettle handy. All right. Let's talk about the game that will live in Ottawa sports lore. Atlético Ottawa are Canadian Premier League champions for the first time after a wild, snowstorm-soaked final at TD Place. They beat defending champs Cavalry FC 2-1 in extra time, with David Rodríguez putting on a finals MVP masterclass. 2 goals, including a stunning bicycle kick, some are calling the best goal the league's ever seen. His winner came in the 106th minute, capping what's already being dubbed the Canadian Snowball. Cavalry had gone ahead on a first-half penalty from Fraser Aird, but Ottawa dug in through the whiteout. Coach Diego Mejía praised the squad and called this the best season in CPL history. And a special nod to Sam Salter, the league's top scorer, who bowed out of his time with Ottawa with a title in hand. If you were there, you'll be telling this story for years. From celebration to community. Ottawa's second Heart Hub, Homelessness and Addiction Recovery Task Force, is slated to open in 2026 in Bell's Corners. These hubs focus on peer support and addiction treatment. One important note, they don't provide harm reduction supplies. The aim is to expand access to care outside the downtown core and meet people where they are, which advocates say can help reduce service gaps in our city. If you're car shopping, a heads up from a CBC Marketplace investigation into Ontario dealerships. Reporters found some dealers adding extra charges on top of advertised prices when you show up in person. Ontario law is clear. The advertised all-in price must include all fees except HST and licensing. 6 of 15 dealerships reportedly charged more than the advertised price, and 4 allegedly showed off pricier versions of the vehicle than what was actually being offered. It's worth double-checking everything on paper and walking if the deal doesn't match the ad. Staying with autos, there's a supply chain story to watch. Stellantis is locked in a legal fight with a Canadian supplier over brake rotor pricing. The supplier says it can't afford to produce and ship parts at the contracted price. Stellantis has accused the supplier of extortion. Why it matters here? Disruptions could ripple into assembly plants in Michigan and beyond. With Stellantis warning of potentially massive and immeasurable production impacts, it's another reminder of how tight and fragile automotive supply lines remain. A serious roundup from Eastern Ontario law enforcement. In Smiths Falls, remains found have been identified as Robbie Thompson, who went missing 2 years ago. 3 people have been charged with his murder. The co-owner of the property where those remains were found, Robert Lambert, has been missing since 2018. Separately, Ronald Goff of Smiths Falls has been charged with first-degree murder in the 2023 death of Giles Dagenais. In Kingston, a 19-year-old pedestrian is in critical condition following a hit-and-run. Police are looking for a white Toyota Tundra, and a 33-year-old man from Perth is in life-threatening condition after a single-vehicle collision in Smiths Falls. If you have dashcam footage or tips, local police are asking for help. Back to the weather ripple effects. Over the weekend, Environment Canada issued the first significant snowfall and freezing rain warnings for the Ottawa-Gatineau region, with some areas seeing up to 20 centimeters. The Ontario Provincial Police reported more than 120 collisions in eastern Ontario tied to the weather, fortunately with no fatalities. With more snow on the ground today, give yourself extra time. Keep a larger following distance, and make those turns and lane changes gentle. On Parliament Hill, Nova Scotia MP Chris D'Entremont has crossed the floor to join the Liberals, citing an alleged confrontation with Conservative figures Andrew Scheer and Chris Warkentin. He says they barged into his office, which he described as behavior more fitting of a frat house than a serious political party. The Conservatives deny his account, calling him deceitful, though they acknowledge Scheer and Warkentin did visit the office and insist they entered calmly. Expect this to spark days of finger-pointing and fresh questions about party culture and unity. On climate policy, the Conservation Council of New Brunswick is unimpressed with the federal budget, saying it misses the mark on renewable energy investments, freshwater protection, and wetland restoration, what they call major gaps in Canada's environmental safety net. Their warning is blunt. Delay now means higher costs later from disasters, disease, and displacement. They did note a few positives: tax credits for wind, solar, and clean energy projects, reaffirmed clean electricity regulations, and tighter methane rules, but say the overall package lacks urgency. Zooming out nationally, there's movement around the Port of Churchill, which the Manitoba government calls a project of national importance. Expansion plans are still conceptual, but one big piece under study is ice-breaking for the possibility of year-round shipping through Hudson Bay. If realized, that could reshape northern logistics and trade, though we're still at the groundwork stage. Globally, Brazil is preparing to host COP30 in the Amazon. Yes, the first major UN climate summit set in the rainforest itself. The Amazon's trees store more carbon than humans emitted in all of 2023, so its health is central to the planet's climate balance. President Lula wants to showcase Brazil's leadership and elevate the Global South's voice, including a proposed Tropical Forests Forever fund to finance rainforest protection. Brazil brings a relatively low-emissions electricity system, a strong biofuel story, and expanding wind and solar. But the wider world is off track for the 1.5-degree limit, and trust between developed and developing nations remains fragile. For Canada, that's a cue to consider how we finance nature, deliver clean electricity, and build trust, especially with forests and Indigenous-led stewardship front and center. Let's hit the markets in AI. After setting a record high on October 28 at 6,890.59, the S&P 500 has slid about 2.4%. It dipped below the 50-day moving average before bouncing on hopes of a government compromise, but sentiment in the near term is turning bearish after a stretch of optimism. A deeper pullback to the 200-day moving average would be roughly an 11% drop. Some strategists see that as a potential buying opportunity. The AI Heavy Mags ETF is down about 4.9% since October 29, reflecting investor nerves. Still, the big AI hyperscalers are generating cash flows that exceed their capital spending, and cloud revenues keep climbing. Translation: AI's business engine is still humming, even if the stock tape is getting jittery. As always, not financial advice, just what's moving the market mood. Before I go, your quick Ottawa reset. Today's around -3 degrees Celsius with snow. If you're still riding the high from Atlético Ottawa's epic win, consider that your excuse for a celebratory hot chocolate on the way to work. Take it easy on those slick side streets and keep an eye out for pedestrians as visibility drops in snowbursts. That's your daily news bite. I'm Ivy. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. If you liked this Ottawa First mix with a splash of national, AI, and climate, follow the show and share it with a friend. I'll be back tomorrow. Stay warm, stay kind, and enjoy that championship glow, Ottawa.